Summer coming to a close, so too should above-average rainfall in the global south. These are the result of the La Niña phenomenon being experienced in South Africa since December 2021. This weather pattern typically brings above-average summer rainfall across southern Africa. What causes this, and what does it mean for the coming winter? Francois Engelbrecht is a professor of climatology and joins me now to discuss this. Professor, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Just how much above average rainfall have we received?
Good morning, Dr. Fuma, and thanks for having me. Well, over the last few summer months, if we look basically all the way back to the start of summer in September through until the end of January, very large parts of Western South Africa have received about twice the normal summer rainfall. Here I'm referring to very big parts of South Africa's Northern Cape and also parts of the Western Free State. And then if we look more to the eastern parts of the country, then we see the rainfall was still above normal, not that much above normal, but almost the entire South Africa, with a few exceptions along our Eastern Cape coastal areas, almost the entire country experienced rainfall far above normal because of this La Niña event we experienced during the past summer.
Talk to me about this La Niña event, and we're seeing it affecting parts of Australia as well. What exactly causes it?
It's the large-scale cooling of the Pacific Ocean in its central and tropical parts, and in the eastern parts that we are speaking about here. Every 2 to 7 years, we see that the Pacific Ocean shifts into this cool phase that we call La Niña. And then also every 2 to 7 years, more or less, we see the opposite phase, namely El Niño. Now, the La Niña state of the Pacific Ocean disrupts weather patterns worldwide. And in the case of South Africa, it leads to the formation of big cloud bands over our region very frequently. So this past summer, we very often saw these huge cloud bands that form over the southern parts of Angola, and then they stretch all the way over Botswana and Namibia into the interior regions of South Africa. So that happens very often during typical La Niña years. Also typical for La Niña years is the more frequent landfall of tropical cyclones over Madagascar and also over Mozambique. And we've also seen this over the past season. So this was a typical La Niña season. I think many South Africans are also familiar with the opposite event, El Niño, which typically brings long periods of droughts to the Southern African region.
Professor, why the discrepancy in rainfall? Like you mentioned, there are parts of the country that have received more than double the average amount of rainfall, and yet in the Eastern Cape, we have a water crisis.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely striking feature of the rainfall of the past season. So we should remember that the most southern parts of South Africa, the Eastern Cape South Coast, and also the Garden Route further to the west, these parts of South Africa are really at the most southern edge of the summer rainfall region. So it does happen from time to time that the summer rainfall weather systems do not reach this part of South Africa, and they do not bring rainfall to this part of South Africa as often as they do in the northern parts of the country. Now, if we look at the rainfall statistics of the last summer, if we can see that from about 50 kilometers to the west of Gqeberha, all the way through to about 100 kilometers to the east of Gqeberha, say in the region of Alexandria and perhaps Port Alfred and a bit further along the east coast, along the eastern part of the Cape South Coast, rainfall has been below normal, surprisingly. And that's why we still have the case that many of the dams in this region, all the most important dams, their levels are generally still below 20%, which is, of course, completely the opposite situation compared to our eastern mega dams, which are almost all of them are at full capacity after this very, very excellent La Niña-induced summer rainfall season.
All right, Professor, unfortunately, we've run out of time, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. Professor Francois Engelbrecht helping us